Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
We've got a critical oversight role over City Hall, over the mayor, whoever the next mayor is, over...
Gentlemen, my fault. I made a mistake. Called for the wrong cut. Welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. What cut did I want? Which was Leno talking about Obama. I said 34 because it was 34 seconds, but in fact it's cut 23. So why don't we do a retake as we start the Steve Malzberg Show for the second time? Here is Jay Leno, last night opening monologue.
You can see he's getting a little grayer. Have you noticed that? In fact, they're starting to call him the Silver Fox. That's what they're calling him, the Silver Fox. That's because most of the silver in his hair was caused by fox. That was the problem. That's why it's silver. Yeah. And President Obama has sent John McCain to Cairo to help solve the political problems that brought the Egyptian government to a halt. I got an idea. How about some of the problems that brought our government to a halt? Why don't we start with that one first? Yeah, it might be a good idea. Yeah.
All right, there you go. Welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show now, officially. And that was the right cut. That was Jay Leno before he had the president on last night on The Tonight Show on NBC. He didn't confront him nearly as harshly in the real interview as he did while Obama was off stage. But joining us right now to talk about something that was addressed last night between Leno and Obama and then came to fruition this morning is former Congressman Pete Hoekstra. Of course, served the great state of Michigan and was the chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Hello, Congressman. How are you? Welcome back.
Hey, I'm doing just fine. Thank you. Good to be back.
Well, thank you. All right. So, of course, the news today, after addressing it on the Jay Leno show yesterday, the Snowden affair and Russia giving him safe harbor for at least a year, and talking about their Cold War mentality that they slip back into ever so often. This morning, we learned that President Obama has canceled his planned meeting in Moscow with Russian President Vladimir Putin. And this is being seen, of course, as a direct result of the Snowden affair. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think this is a good first step for the president. I think there's another step that the president could take that a lot of members of Congress have had a lot of concerns about. The U.S. government, through the Pentagon, is poised to buy over $500 million of Russian helicopters and give them to the Afghan government. It's kind of like this is a no-brainer. That order should be canceled. If we're going to be giving helicopters to the Afghan, why don't we give them the world's best and give them some American helicopters?
Well, yeah, please, because you've caught me really off guard. Explain to me obviously you don't see the logic either, but how is this even happening? Why on earth would we buy Russian helicopters and give them to the Afghans as opposed to having them made here and giving them to the Afghans?
Because the Afghans supposedly would prefer to have Russian helicopters. Well, when we're buying it and we're giving it to them, for their use after we leave, it's kind of like, we think really maybe you should have American helicopters. We also have a lot of helicopters that have been mothballed, so we could take those out of, we could refurbish them, get them out of the mothball fleet and give them to Afghanistan. There's a whole lot of other ways that you could do this rather than giving a company that reportedly is selling lots of arms to Syria, helping in Iran, rather than giving them another $500 million plus contract. Let's just give them American equipment. It is the best in the world. There's no reason for us to be supporting Russian jobs, the Russian economy. Last I looked, the American economy was still struggling, and we should be creating those jobs right here in the United States.
Congressman, does the Congress have to sign off on this, or is this just something that the president or the administration agreed to with the Afghani government?
Well, the Pentagon and the Afghani government, this administration, they reached an agreement with the Afghan government to do this. Congress has spoken clearly on this, both through the appropriations process last year and again as they're going through the appropriations process almost unanimously. Congress has said no more money for buying Russian helicopters. And this is one of the times where you give this administration credit. They've been really creative, and they said, well, you know what? We're not going to use 2013 dollars. We found some money that was appropriated, but that wasn't spent back in 2012. So we're going to go outside the directives of Congress, and we're going to use that money that we have left over from 2012, and we're going to get around that congressional directive, and we'll use that money to buy these helicopters. It's again, kind of the schizophrenia that you see out of the Obama administration. On the one side, they're saying, we're really going to be tough. We're going to cancel this summit. And then in the background, we're going out and buying and spending $500 million plus on Russian military equipment.
Yeah, and symbolically, of course, one really has no effect. And here, as you just pointed out, all the advantages to American companies and American jobs and whatnot, if the helicopters were made or taken from the United States, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. All right, so that would be a great second step. Do you think that Vladimir Putin is feeling this at all? Do you think this will result in any kind of expedition of this situation, or maybe getting Snowden out of the country sooner, back to the U.S. or back to somewhere else?
No, I've met Putin. I don't think this worries him at all. I feel. I think this guy feels energized. He feels emboldened. Early on in this administration, the president said he was going to reset his relationship with Russia. Canceled, I believe, the radar sites in Poland. And just like, Al Qaeda and the radical jihadist elements and the folks in the Middle East see America as weak, I don't think Putin's intimidated at all. He sees a weak America. He sees a weak administration, and I think I'm sure that as he goes to bed tonight, he'll sleep, and this will not be a major concern that will keep him awake.
We're talking to former Congressman Pete Hoekstra, the former chair of the House Intelligence Committee here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And along those lines, Congressman, let's talk about the closing of the embassies. There's a report today by Eli Lake and Josh Rogan that it wasn't just any terrorist message that triggered the closings and all the hullabaloo that we've seen, but in fact it was a conference call of more than 20, they say, far-flung al-Qaeda operatives, including top brass and maybe even the leader himself, who knows, that led to this. I have two questions. One, did the U.S. act appropriately? Did we overreact or not? And two, why would the administration, if they did leak on purpose that, we bugged the phone, we heard the phone call of the leader of al-Qaeda? Why would they want that known?
Well, on the first one, I haven't seen the intelligence, how specific it was. If it was very specific, if it was talking about embassies and those types of things, I think the administration probably acted. You could justify the actions the administration took. I mean, if it was just generally about attacks, there are all kinds of Western symbols throughout the Middle East, whether it's the embassies, whether it's oil refineries, whether it's the banks or anything like that, that also could have been targets. So, without seeing the specific intelligence, you'll just have to take it at face value that the administration did what it thought it needed to do, and did so out of the utmost of caution to protect American interests and American personnel. The second thing, if number one, if there actually was a conference call, you have al-Qaeda believing, and we know that Osama bin Laden never really used cell phones and kept all of that stuff away. We now have the new leadership of al-Qaeda saying, hey, we think that we've got now a foolproof method where we can get 20 of us on the phone and we can talk and plot and discuss strategy and those types of things. And we think we've developed a secure way to do it so that the U.S. and the NSA and all the other tools that America has at its disposal, they don't have a reach into us. I, for the life of me, cannot understand why anybody would let that information out. Obviously now they're going to go dark on this. They'll never use this technique again, and they'll figure out another way to do it. I don't know why we would have done it. It brings back memories of what happened after we got Osama bin Laden, where someone leaked out that there was this doctor who helped us.
Yes.
And this poor doctor is now rotting in jail, and we're not doing anything to get him out. And now we have a tool that looked to be working extremely well. And now will never be used by Al-Qaeda again. It baffles me.
Yeah, and of course that doctor in Pakistan, and of course also Joe Biden announced that SEAL Team 6 was responsible, and then later on, many believe there's an investigation right now going on, and there's a book, Betrayal, written by Paul Vallely and one of the parents of the dead SEALs, that helicopter, that plane crash that killed so many members of that SEAL team 2 months after the bin Laden attack was retribution, and they had a target on their back ever since Biden had mentioned that it was that team specifically that had done the deed to Osama bin Laden. One more, and let's turn domestically here. In your opinion, we have Mitt Romney reemerging yesterday to talk about defunding Obamacare and taking the likes of Ted Cruz and Tea Party conservatives and a handful of others in the Republican Party to task, saying that we should do away with Obamacare, but voting to defund it, which could lead to a government shutdown, either in the continuing resolution or the next budget, is a mistake because we could lose the House, etc. Which school of thought are you on this? Keep passing these resolutions or these bills in the House, which are never going to go beyond that say end Obamacare, or actually saying, hey, guess what? The IRS isn't getting money to work on this, or some other part isn't going to get money to work in Obamacare, and actually, try to stand on principle, in my opinion, obviously, and energize the base and energize the country, the majority of which is against this health care bill.
They need to energize the American people against Obamacare, and continue keeping the pressure on. They made a huge strategic mistake over the last couple of weeks, which came out on Friday and got a lot of press over the weekend, which is they bailed out the congressional staff. Now, I've got a lot of friends. I understand what they're doing, but you can't just fix Obamacare for the people on Capitol Hill. It's broken for lots of other people around the country. They should have said, we ain't fixing Obamacare for the people on Capitol Hill until we fix it for other Americans. That should have been something they should never have agreed to. And I hope there's people that take the president to court for what the directives that they've issued about how they're going to, bypass the law and make this work now for Capitol Hill. I think that they should go, as they go through this, the budgeting cycle, they should go for all that they can get in terms of defunding all of it or defunding parts of it as they go through the next couple of months.
While running the risk of having the government shut down, and of course the media and the Democrats will blame it on the Republicans.
Sure. You got to remember, Steve, I was one of the Republicans back in '95 that after Newt Gingrich wanted to open up government, after we had shut it down, I voted to keep it closed. I'm not. If they're going to use that strategy, they clearly have to have a strategy in place about how they're going to talk to how they're going to talk to the American people about this and these types of things. I do have a real fear that once major portions of Obamacare are implemented,
it's done. Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah,
and so this really may be the last best chance to significantly change it or to get rid of it totally. And the best thing to do is to delay it for a year. I think Dave Camp, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, he's arguing for that, just saying there's too many pieces that are broken that aren't ready for prime time.
Right.
Delay it for a year.
And if they could communicate that and communicate the president's own admission that it's broken, and a story out today that talks about how the information isn't secure when people apply online, the IT data is not secure, they might be hacked, and say to the American people, we're not going to let this go through for blah, blah, blah reasons. And if the president shuts down the government and doesn't accept this, then it's his fault. But of course, I don't know if they're capable of doing that. And I don't think Boehner is willing to go through with it.
Well, the other thing is you have a media that
I know that.
that doesn't give it's not an objective reporting anymore. Can you imagine? Think of all the flack that President Bush took for standing under a banner that said "Mission Accomplished,"
right.
Where you've now got an administration that says Al Qaeda's on the run.
Yep.
They're decimated, and 8-9 short months later, we're closing dozens of embassies around the world.
Couldn't agree with you more, but as you well know, that in the presidential elections and on issues like this, if the Republicans don't learn that they're fighting the media as much as they are their opponents and are willing to take it on and realize what they have to do and say things that the media might call them names, then we're never going to win and we're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Congressman, I thank you so much for your time. Pleasure speaking to you, sir.
All right. Hey, have a great day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take care. Congressman Pete Hoekstra, ladies and gentlemen. Former Congressman Hoekstra, of course, so former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. You want to weigh in on any of that? I'd love to hear from you. Should the Republicans stand on principle and risk a government shutdown? They will not be shutting the government down. Only the president could shut the government down. Or it's a combined effort, but it wouldn't be the Republicans shutting the government down. It would be the Republicans saying we're not going to do health care because of this, that, and here, and X, and Y, and Z, and America, we're doing it for you. You mostly agree with us. And if the president won't accept it and the Democrats won't accept it, they're shutting the government down. God forbid we should ever hear that from a Republican on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or two of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, got to lighten the mood a little bit here. It's just, it's August. It's supposed to be the dog days of summer, whatever that means. That's, mostly it's a term used in baseball, but nonetheless. We're going to speak to Sudden Sam McDowell in the next hour, former All-Star pitcher, talk about drugs and steroids and all that. But did you see Eli and Peyton Manning's new rap commercial for watching football on their phone? Well, give a listen, give a watch. I'm going to take it out right here to the bottom of the hour. We'll come back with Congressman Paul Brown on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Eli, who are you talking to?
I'm not talking. I'm watching football.
Watching football?
Yeah, with DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket Max, you can watch every game every Sunday afternoon on any device, like your computer, tablet, or phone.
Football? On your phone?
Football on your phone.
It's football on your phone. It's football on your phone.
It's football on your phone, that's what I said.
It's football on your phone, you can watch it in bed.
Take it with you wherever you go.
Show your friends and watch them all go home.
It's football on your phone.
Yeah.
It's football on
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Ladies and gentlemen, immigration reform, of course, it passed the Senate. Let's hope the House sticks to its guns, although sometimes with John Boehner in the leadership, you're not exactly sure what those guns might be. Joining us now is Congressman Paul Brown from the 10th Congressional District in the great state of Georgia. He's also a candidate for the United States Senate. Congressman, how are you, sir?
Fine, Steve. I'm glad to be with you. It's always a pleasure and a blessing to visit with you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know that you are on the campaign trail pushing your Senate campaign, so I appreciate the time. All right, let's talk about House Resolution H.R. 326. That you are certainly pushing, which certainly does satisfy someone like me. Talk about what that would do.
Well, this House Resolution 326 that I introduced actually a week ago basically says no amnesty for anybody. We've got to be a nation that is ruled by law, not by man, and we've got what's estimated is 11 million plus illegal aliens in this country that have broken the law. And if we give them amnesty, then it's going to be a tremendous economic burden upon the American taxpayers. In fact, it's estimated it's going to cost $54 billion per year to give these illegal aliens amnesty. It's over $14,000 per family for illegal aliens. That it's going to cost the taxpayers above what any taxes that they may pay. We cannot afford it. Plus, even more importantly, we must be a nation ruled by law. We see this president, he goes on
Jay Leno,
and talks about he talks about all the issues with national security. He's making America a joke, and if we don't enforce the laws, we're going to be a joke as a nation, and it just has to stop.
Well, I want you to go ahead.
We have to uphold the law. I will not support any legislation that has any semblance to the Senate bill. I will vote no on the Senate bill, and if there's anything like it in any kind of conference report, I'll vote no on that. We must secure the border. We must enforce the law, the laws that are on the books. The only new law I'd like to see put in place right now is one to make English the official language of America. But we must secure the border first and foremost. Till then, nothing else matters.
I want you to listen to Chuck Schumer, who said today on CNN that he has no problem with a piecemeal approach in the House, and he's willing to sit down with the leaders of the House to try to make this happen. Listen to what he said.
We would much prefer a big comprehensive bill, but any way that the House can get there is okay by us. And I actually am optimistic that we will get this done. I've had a lot of discussions with various members of both parties in the House. Things are moving in the right direction. The initial reaction was the House isn't going to take up any bill. That would have been very bad, no bill. Now they're doing it in pieces. A couple of their pieces are very similar to our bill.
Okay, and when I hear this, it makes me worry, not only because it's Chuck Schumer, but I've heard from Paul Ryan, I've heard the ambiguity from John Boehner, and it scares me because I don't know what they're capable of pushing through.
Absolutely, and you're just perfectly correct when you should be very frightened of like this. When he says when we get this done, what he wants to do is give amnesty to 11+ million and maybe up to 20 million illegal aliens in this country. He wants to put them on federal welfare programs and federal largesse so that they vote for Democrats and keep Democrats in power for perpetuity. Anything that Chuck Schumer's for, any freedom-loving American should be against. So, or look with jaundiced eye upon anything that Chuck Schumer's for.
Well, what about his optimism? Does he have reason for optimism, given what I said about Ryan and the leadership and Boehner? And I mean, does he have reason to be optimistic?
I hope not. I don't know. I know that there are a lot of us that won't vote for any kind of comprehensive bill. Or what really concerns me, Steve, is that if our leadership takes any bill, even one, and conferences it with the Senate comprehensive immigration reform bill. It's not reform, it's an amnesty bill. Anything that passes the House, if Speaker Boehner takes those and says, let's sit down in conference with the Senate, then America economically is doomed because we cannot afford to put these people on government largesse because it's going to cost, as I've already said, $54 billion per year to the American taxpayers to give these people amnesty. So John Boehner is saying, let's pass something. He and a lot of the Republican leadership want to pass a border security bill that they promised to secure the border. But the thing is, we were promised to secure the border in 1986 when President Reagan signed an amnesty bill that gave amnesty to almost 2.7 million illegal aliens in this country. And what has happened?
Right.
No border security, no enforcement of the law, which we were promised also in 86. And now we've got over 11 million at least, and maybe much more than that, illegal aliens in this country. Until we secure the border, nothing else matters.
And, Congressman, we were promised a fence, which much more recently than Reagan. We're talking to Congressman Paul Brown, also U.S. Senate candidate Paul Brown from the great state of Georgia, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Two more things quickly, sir. One, you're as a doctor, as an MD, I was so frustrated. It was Scott Garrett, my congressman from New Jersey, who first told me several weeks ago when I asked him, I said, when are you guys going to defund part of Obamacare? These votes are nice, but when are you going to actually take the money away? He said the leadership won't do it. And then, of course, subsequently, we've heard that the leadership won't do it. What is the possibility here going forward? How do we stop this from happening?
Steve, there are 3 U.S. senators, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, with about 8 of us in the House. They're going to do everything we can to defund Obamacare in this continuing resolution. It's absolutely critical. We need to shut down Obamacare before Obamacare shuts down America. It's already shutting down job creation in America. It's already shutting down our economy. It's already shutting down our budget from it's already shutting down the budget from from family budgets and will shut down the federal budget. It's going to shut down our liberty, and it's absolutely critical that we shut down Obamacare.
What are the chances, sir? What do you think the chances are that maybe part of it, there's something that could cripple it, the IRS agents funding, something will be defunded? Any chance?
Well, yes, there is a big chance, and that's when we, the people, rise up and tell their members of Congress in the House and the Senate, if you fund Obamacare in this continuing resolution, we're going to get rid of you. If you don't shut down Obamacare, we're going to shut you down. We're going to find somebody else to replace you. That's the way to shut down Obamacare and defund it. And that's what I'm looking into whatever I can do. And I've been leading that charge of trying to educate and mobilize the most powerful political force in America. And that's embodied in the first three words of the U.S. Constitution. We, the people, to tell their congressmen, tell their senators, if you don't defund Obamacare in this continuing resolution, and it must be done in this continuing resolution because Obamacare goes into effect October 1st.
And then there's no turning back. Absolutely.
There's no turning back. And we've got to defund Obamacare, and that's what I'm fighting.
One more quickly. The president canceling his meeting at the G20 summit, his one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin, believed to be because of Snowden, although the White House gave a bunch of other issues. What's your take on that?
Well, we've got to work with other countries around the world, and I think he's wrong in this. I guess he's making a political statement, but this administration has been totally inept in foreign policy, and I think this is a reflection of the ineptness of his State Department, the Secretary of State, previous one as well as this one, about how poorly we are seen across the world, because we have not been the strong nation that America has been in the past and capable of being. You see, I have a strong belief in liberty. I have a strong belief in the American people. I have a strong belief in the things that have made this America great. Both parties are destroying it by spending too much money. We're spending too much. We're taxing too much. We're regulating too much. We're borrowing too much. Government is sticking its ugly nose into our business too much, and it must stop, and that's what I'm fighting for.
Congressman, thank you very much for your time, sir. Good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you. People can check me out. PaulBrown.com is PaulBroun.com.
I was going to say BROUN, PaulBrown.com.
They can sign up for email newsletters, be a friend on Facebook, and they can send me money right there on PaulBrown.com.
Okay. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you very much. All right, folks. Steve Malzberg, thank you. Steve Malzberg, and we're going to continue right here. Again, 855-777-9660. If you want to weigh in, should they defund Obamacare? I say absolutely yes on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5-ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking, and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Hi, folks. Welcome back. You know, it really ticks me off. I'm watching on the screen of President Obama speaking at Camp Pendleton in California, praising military families. They're the force behind the force. I'm here because we've marked another milestone in the war, blah, 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 blah. And all the while, those poor victims and their families involved in the Fort Hood shooting are suffering and have been suffering for years and years and years. And I wasn't going to do any of this until tomorrow, and I just one. Do you remember the woman who was responsible for shooting Major Nadal Hassan? Do you remember Sergeant Munley? Let's see. I'm trying to forget her first name here. Don't have it. But anyway, Sergeant Munley, she shot him. she was then heralded. She was brought to the State of the Union. She sat with Michelle Obama, and the president promised, whatever you need, we're going to do, blah, 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 typical Obama fashion. And then just a few months ago, of course, there she was on ABC News talking about how she was used. Can we have cut 9? You have cut 9? Okay, while we wait for the guest, if he's going to show up. Here is cut 9.
Sergeant Mundley, hit 3 times and seriously injured, became known across the country as a hero. Even as she was still recovering, the White House arranged a hero's welcome for her and her partner at the State of the Union address 3 years ago. But now she says she feels she was used.
Betrayal would be a good word.
Mundley told ABC News the president broke the promise he made to her that all of the victims and their families would be well taken care of.
So when he told you, we're going to take care of you, that did not turn out to be true?
No. And then there's another cut where she's crying. Play the next cut. Just quickly, play the next cut.
If I were to see him again, again, it's not about me, but I would just beg him to please take care of.
Okay. And then now he's at Camp Pendleton spewing his nonsense. Oh, military families. Oh, we love you. Oh, you're great. And he lied to this woman, and he lied to the Fort Hood victims, and he continues to treat them like garbage because he doesn't want to call a jihadist. Disgusting. Okay. Now we'll change to our planned topic. Okay, you're watching TV, let's say. Maybe you're watching me right now. I don't know, but however you're watching this. If you're watching your TV, is your TV watching you? Could the government be watching you? Could some computer hacker be watching you while you watch TV in your home? It's happening, ladies and gentlemen, and it could happen. And joining us now is Kurt Baumgartner, Senior Security Researcher at Kaspersky Lab. Hello, Kurt. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. All right, explain to me, first of all, what kind of sets are at risk? I mean, we're talking about internet-friendly sets that have to be hooked up to the internet, or are we talking about any other kinds of TV sets?
Well, that's an interesting question because when you're talking about technology in general, most of the time vulnerabilities can be found in thing. So I believe at Black Hat in the past couple of weeks, the Samsung sets were the ones targeted by security researchers.
All right, when you say Samsung TV set, so if I have a Samsung TV set, as far as I know, it doesn't have a camera on it. How would they look into my living room if they wanted to or tried to or could?
Well, yeah, what security researchers are looking at right now are TVs that do have a webcam, and pretty much anything with a webcam and some sort of API or functionality to turn it on or off can probably be attacked. And devices like that provide webcams for Skype related to PCs, whether it was a Windows PC or something running Linux, has been abused in the past.
All right, so the TV set would have to have a webcam, like some kind of camera on it, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like a big flat screen TV that you have and there's no camera on it. There's no internet capability. There's no compatibility. You're not hooked up to the internet, and as far as you know, there's no camera. Then you should be okay, right?
Yeah, or like a Zenith, an old Zenith with a clicky round dial.
Yeah, well, forget the clicky. That's one. Yeah, but let's say a Panasonic flat screen that's on your wall at home. But again, you're not hooked up to the internet, and you don't know that there's any camera there. I mean, I don't know that mine came with a camera. Mine's several years old. So what I'm trying to ask you is, are there guidelines to say, well, if you don't have web-friendly TV and you don't have a camera on the TV, then you're okay? But you're telling me not necessarily.
I'm not telling you that. I think if there's a webcam included with the TV, or there's some sort of optical device that can record, those sorts of features are disclosed. So, and they're selling points for the company.
Right,
really.
right, okay.
So those are the ones that are going to be misused.
Okay, and for the computer, everybody has a webcam on their computer, especially if they use Skype or whatever. So, so the best thing to do, or tell me how effective this is, if you have a TV where you do have this kind of camera, or you have a webcam on your PC at home or at work, wherever, cover the camera. No, with a piece of paper, with a cardboard. I mean, is that sounds very rudimentary, but is that effective?
Yeah, that's effective for cameras. And, in the community that I run, you'll see a lot of laptops and a lot of folks with nothing but a piece of tape sort of just above their laptop's screen to cover up the camera so that sort of thing doesn't happen. Other things people have done in the past have been to turn it off in the firmware, although that's kind of even more of a problem. Because turning it back on, or the webcam's functionality back on from the firmware or the BIOS, requires a reboot. So yeah, a piece of tape will work.
Wow. I mean, this is so scary. All right, so how prominent a problem is this? Has this been? Do you believe that, Kurt, that people have been sitting in their living rooms and unbeknownst to them, that someone's watching them? And who is doing the watching at this point? Are we suspecting the government, or are we suspecting hackers, or both?
Well, it's interesting. In some of the targeted campaigns I've looked at in the past, like we uncovered one called Madi, could have been a mix of both. We don't really look at the attackers necessarily and perform that level of attribution, but these guys are collecting screenshots, and they are capturing videos of their victims. So
and who are these guys? Who are these? But you don't know who these guys are when you say these guys are capturing.
Yeah, well, I don't perform that level of attribution.
Okay.
I don't sit down and go, I want to find out exactly.
All right, how widespread is it then?
Well, the malware itself that's been implementing that sort of functionality where it can use your web camera has been around for years. I mean, probably, a decade. So even early webcams have been misused by things called rats.
And what about the television?
Yeah, the television is something that's new, and that's why it's pretty fresh. That's why it's being demonstrated at Black Hat. For TVs to maintain, to have smart TVs in your living room is fairly new. So that's new, but still the misuse of the camera itself is not something that's terribly new. But its presence in your living room is.
It's scary. It's got to be scary. All right, listen, I appreciate the information. Kurt Baumgartner, Senior Security Researcher at Kaspersky Labs. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, folks.
All right, thank you very much.
Here's some advice. Cover up your camera. Cover up when you're not using it. Cover up with a piece of tape or something. Your camera is at home on TV and computer. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The White House has scrapped a planned summit next month with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. The Obama administration has repeatedly expressed disappointment after Putin granted asylum to NSA leaker Edward Snowden. Russia rebuffed U.S. pleas to hand him over to face espionage charges. The White House also noted a lack of cooperation with Russia over issues including Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea, and weapons proliferation as contributing factors to the cancellation. And last night on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, the president talked for the first time about the al-Qaeda terror plot. 19 American embassies and consulates remain closed because of that threat. The president started off with a lighthearted happy birthday wish from Leno, but the interview turned much more serious when questions about the terror plot came up. The president also talked about a recent lunch he had with former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. But when the president was asked specifically about the al-Qaeda terror plot, he sidestepped questions about whether phone and internet surveillance uncovered the specified al-Qaeda terror plot.
Whenever we see a threat stream that we think is specific enough that we can take some specific precautions within a certain time frame, then we do so. Violent extremism is still out there, and we've got to stay on top of it.
The Leno interview followed a speech the president made earlier in the day on the topic of mortgage finance reform in Phoenix, Arizona. The president says he wants to phase out government-backed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and transfer more of the mortgage risk to the private sector. An Air Force C-17 flew into the Yemen capital of Sana'a Tuesday to evacuate dozens of U.S. workers from the American embassy. Staffers, including some described as emergency personnel, were ordered to the airport and put on the flight to an Air Force base in Germany. British and French authorities also temporarily moved out diplomats, drawing a strong rebuke from the Yemen Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
This was a decision related to a specific immediate threat.
Also in Yemen, there are new reports that a U.S. drone strike took out 4 al-Qaeda operatives just outside of the capital. It was the 4th drone strike inside Yemen in less than 2 weeks in response to al-Qaeda's suspected terror plot. And nearly a year later, the Justice Department has filed its first criminal charges in the deadly attack on the U.S. diplomatic mission in Benghazi, Libya. 4 Americans, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, were killed in that assault. The Justice Department is keeping the charges against Abu Khatallah under seal, and they are not saying if any more suspects will be charged. And coming up on your Newsmax Now update, an update on the condition of former President George W. Bush after a mild heart health scare in Texas. Plus a Newsmax exclusive with John Bolton, UN ambassador under President Bush, what he says is ironic about the White House's terror plot announcement this week.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
And welcome back. Former President George W. Bush is now out of the hospital. Mr. Bush underwent a heart procedure Tuesday to have a stent placed in a blocked artery in a Dallas hospital. The 67-year-old is considered to be in great physical condition. Just about 2 months ago, he biked more than 60 miles with military veterans, and we wish him all the best. And during a Newsmax exclusive with former UN Ambassador John Bolton, we dig into the issue of al-Qaeda and White House claims, past and present, that the terror organization is on the ropes. Bolton charged that the White House is clearly wrong here in its own assessment based on the information leaked about the massive terror plot potentially targeting U.S. embassies this week.
It's ironically a refutation of the Obama administration's whole storyline on al-Qaeda being on the road to defeat.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 7th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. 855-777-9660. Coming up this hour, Congressman Louis Gohmert, who says it was a mistake to close the embassies in the wake of the terror threat. And sudden Sam McDowell, who pitched for many years in the major leagues up until the very early, I think 1971 or 72 was his last year. He is a recovering alcoholic. He is going to talk about steroid use in baseball and how the game has changed. So I can't wait to speak to Sam McDowell. Remember, a big left-hander for the Cleveland Indians. He pitched for the Yankees at one point as well. And Peter Brooks, Senior Fellow, National Security Affairs at the Heritage Foundation, former Assistant Deputy Secretary of Defense, will weigh in on the cancellation by Barack Obama of his scheduled personal meeting in Moscow with Vladimir Putin. But I want to get to something here first, if I may. There are groups out there, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. I got an email from them yesterday, and they're talking about, call your congressman. We need comprehensive immigration reform. Make the House pass the Senate bill. Blah 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 blah. And I'm saying, shut up. You see, this is why one reason why I will never contribute to the Anti-Defamation League. Okay? Any good they do is offset by the obvious left-wing political bent that they have. I cannot stomach it. I will not partake of it. Okay? Now, in addition to that, let's add the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, the Southern Poverty Law Center, what a great group. They point out hatred. They point out bigotry. Yeah, right? If you think the Family Research Council is a hate group and others like it are hate groups. Now, something very interesting happened. Our friends at cnsnews.com, I believe it was Elizabeth Hampton, who conducted this interview, very impromptu interview, with Morris Dees, the co-founder of the Southern Poverty Law Center. His group has on its website what they call a hate map. A hate map. Now, let me preface this by saying, do you remember when Gabby Giffords was shot? And we just had Dallas Green on the other day, 2 days ago, former baseball manager and His granddaughter was tragically killed. The 9-year-old granddaughter of Dallas Green was killed in the attack on Gabby Giffords. So when right after the shooting, they blamed talk radio, they blamed the right wing, and they blamed Sarah Palin. In fact, the nut job who was sexting with Anthony Weiner, Leathers, it was reported that she signed a petition online claiming that Sarah Palin was responsible for violence. You know why? Because Sarah Palin had a map of the United States and had crosshairs on congressional districts that she felt the Republicans needed to take and needed to win. So they put, the crosshairs, that means they're asking someone to shoot. So Sarah Palin was blamed immediately. But do you recall the attack on the Family Research Council that took place a couple of years ago, where a pro-gay advocate walked in to the Family Research Council and shot a security guard and was restrained from going further to shoot more people? He had pro-gay literature in his suitcase or attaché case or backpack. Well, Morris Dees was asked about this hate map and how it, by his own admission, it caused the shooter of the Family Research Council security guard, it directed him to go to the Family Research Council. The Southern Poverty Law Center's website hate map directed this man to go directed him to that site as a hate group, and he went there and shot the guy. I want you to listen here to cut number 19. It's a little hard to hear, but this is, I believe, Elizabeth Hampton of CNSnews.com talking to Morris Dees.
I just wanted to ask you really briefly about the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate map. It still lists the Family Research Council on the hate map, and that was cited as by Floyd Corkins, who opened fire in their office last year, as the reason why he targeted them. Do you think, have you ever considered removing the group from
first
the
of all,
hate map?
Having a group on our hate map doesn't cause anybody to attack them any more than they attacked us for one thing or another.
Okay, well, I don't know what he's right. Having a group on the hate map doesn't tell somebody to go shoot someone in that group. You're absolutely right. But the media frenzy that followed Gabby Giffords, for instance, how every word that a Republican ever said was scrutinized, could it have led to the shooting of Gabby Giffords? What about Sarah Palin? What about her website? What about the crosshairs? Now listen to the words of Floyd Lee Corkins, the man who shot the security guard at the Family Research Council, talking to the FBI. Cut 20.
Now, how did you, this building, this organization, how did you find it? Or did you look it up online, or how did you know about it?
Southern Poverty Law lists anti-gay groups, I found them online.
Okay.
A little bit of research onto their website and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. Southern Poverty Law Center lists hate groups, anti-gay groups. He found it online. He did a little research, and that's how he found them. And then he went and he shot somebody. So for Morris Dees to say or deny any culpability or any connection is disingenuous, and he should address the issue. He should absolutely address the issue. It's disgraceful to call the Family Research Council a hate group. It's mind-boggling. All right, we have someone wants to weigh in at 855-777-9660 on an issue we talked about earlier in the previous hour, which was your TV or your webcam could be spying on you. Someone could be using it to spy on you in your living room or bedroom or basement or wherever you have the TV or the webcam, unbeknownst to you. Let's go to Leanne in Pittsburgh, PA. Hello, Leanne. How are you? You're on the Steve Malzberg Show. Welcome.
I'm well. How are you?
Good. How are you watching or listening to the show?
I'm on XM, one of the talk radio stations.
You're on. Okay, go ahead.
I was just listening to your segment on the smart TVs, and one of the concerning things for me is that when all of the analog, when they switch from analog to digital signals, and we all switch to these flat TVs, these smart TVs, and we have several of them. And I've now, after hearing about the capabilities of them with built-in cameras, that they could be hacked and you could be spied on, I've done quite a bit of research trying to find the location of the cameras on the smart TVs so I could find a way to block them, whether it's by putting a cover or a piece of tape. And I can't find anything on the net. I've looked extensively. So if there's any way to get any of that information out, that would be very helpful to a lot of us.
All right. You know what? I will call him back, or I have my producer call him back and ask where on the TVs, for the most part, these cameras would be located. Now, you could certainly do your webcam on your computer, or your computer, if it's not if it's a built-in webcam on a laptop, you could certainly see where that is. The little.
Right.
And I would imagine it would look similar on the TV. Now, not every TV has a camera. Not every TV has a web capability. So, I mean, if it doesn't, and like he said, that would be a selling point for the TV. So it should be in the manual, or go to the store where you bought it, or just go into a store that sells TVs like this and say, hey, could you show me where a camera might be? Or, maybe that would help. But I'll try to get, it might depend on the model and where and individual. So I would try to find your TV in a store and go ask the salesman at a store that sells it.
Will that be something they'll be able to share?
Well, I wouldn't say that why you want to know, and I'm sure. Say, here, show them your model, and say, does this have a camera in it? I don't think it's a secret that there's a camera. I think the secret has been that someone could hack into it, or the government could hack into it and use it against you. But I don't think it's a secret that it would be have a camera capability. So I think if you ask a salesman or look in your manual, it will say yes or no, and it would probably tell you where. So get back to me and let me know if that works. Okay, Leanne? I appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Leanne from Pittsburgh, PA, weighing in. Yeah, it's very frightening, man. I mean, look, 1984, this is just bizarre that this could possibly be happening. Safe thing to do. It's like, where I have, well, I'm not even going to get into it, but I make privacy provisions wherever I can, and I don't have an internet-capable, compatible TV that I know of. So if someone's watching me in my living room, I hope you're not bored with the dog and me and my son. What can I tell you? Okay, we're coming back. Congressman Louis Gohmert joins us. He says it was a mistake to close these embassies. We'll also ask him about reports that Yemen says we foiled a huge Al-Qaeda gas attack in Yemen. You think they're being sincere, or they're just saying that because we have to justify everything we did? I don't know. We'll talk about that with Louis Gohmert and more on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
we only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today. In this free offer, we are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg with you. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Sudden Sam McDowell. Do you remember Sudden Sam McDowell? He pitched for the Cleveland Indians, and that's what I remember him for most. He did, towards the very tail end of his career, pitch for the New York Yankees. And he was a big left-hander, and he got himself in trouble a lot of times, and alcohol played a role. And now, of course, we're in the midst of this steroid scandal in Major League Baseball. We'll talk to Sudden Sam McDowell about what he's doing now, how he's helping others, how he's helping other athletes, and what he thinks the punishment should be for folks like A-Rod and those who were caught using steroids. Flying in the face of popular opinion, our next guest, once we get him, are we waiting for the call or we're on hold? Okay, is Louis Gohmert, our friend, congressman from the great state of Texas. And the congressman is of the opinion that it was a mistake to close all the embassies when we did. There has been no terrorist attack. Of course, we just heard from Yemeni security forces that they foiled a plot by Al-Qaeda to take over oil and gas export facilities and the provincial capital in the eastern part of the country. But you could look at it that we heard a threat, we saw a threat, and instead of enhancing our own security and standing down and staying tough, we ran. And is that a good signal to send? Well, Louis Gohmert thinks it's not. Not yet? We don't have him yet? We don't? Okay, not yet. All right, so hopefully we will get to the congressman in a moment or two. But what I don't like is, what if they're playing us? See, I wish there were a way to maybe close the embassies and not tell the world that we're closing the embassies, or keep just a skeleton staff present while fortifying with Marine guards, the surrounding area of the embassies involved, instead of announcing to the world that we're leaving, we're closing. There's a threat. It's a threat. We picked up a threat, so we're closing 21 embassies around the world, and basically it was concentrated in a certain part of the world, but nonetheless, what message does that send? What message does that send? So, well, Soon it's going to be not an issue anyway. But I don't like that strategy. I don't like telling every step we make and every bit of information we know to the world. And now it comes out, if it's true, Eli Lake and Josh Rogan talking about the fact that this was a conference call of al-Qaeda leaders from around the world, 20 of them, and we intercepted that call. And now they know that we intercepted the call. And so maybe they called off the attack. Maybe they called off the attack. And they'll say, let's wait. They'll put their people back in the embassies. The U.S. isn't going to close the embassies forever. The Brits will come back to where they left. And then, God forbid, they'll attack. I mean, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to pull that off. So I just don't like the strategy of running. I don't like the strategy of, I would run. I'm a civilian. You know, if they told me there's going to be a terrorist attack, they're closing the building, fine, I'm out of here. But does the U.S. government have to run? Do our embassies have to close? Again, close them. Withdraw almost everybody, but don't tell the world we're closing. Tell the world we're open. Put a Marine presence. Put a military presence. That's, to me, the more appropriate route to take than the route that was taken. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't like it. I don't buy it. And but then again, I am not president of these United States. Meanwhile, listen to this. This is President Obama with Leno yesterday. This is cut 26, talking about the risk of getting hurt in a terrorist attack compared to a car. I don't understand this. Maybe you do. It's cut 26.
What's great about what we've seen with America over the last several years is how resilient we are. So after the Boston bombing, for example, the next day, folks are out there. They're going to ball games. They are, making sure that we're not reacting in a way that somehow shuts us down.
Right.
And that's the right reaction. Terrorists depend on the idea that we're going to be terrorized, and we're going to live our lives. And the odds of people dying in a terrorist attack, obviously, are still a lot lower than in a car accident, unfortunately. But
okay. The odds of someone dying in a terrorist attack are a lot lower than the odds of dying in a car accident, unfortunately. Now, I think I know what he meant. Too bad so many people die in car accidents. Too bad the odds are so, relatively speaking, high that people die to die in a car accident. But it didn't come out right. And you haven't heard this anywhere else today, have you? And I'm nitpicking. Sure, I'm nitpicking. But I'm nitpicking to make a point. I'm nitpicking to make the point that if this was George Bush who said the odds of dying in a terrorist attack are lower than dying in an automobile accident, unfortunately, people would say, well, how stupid is he? But now they're not talking about it. And here's another question you need to ask. If social media had sound, they'd be sending forth peals of laughter. The president sat there with Jay Leno, and he talked about the Olympics. And Leno said, might you boycott the Olympics because of the Snowden incident and some other things Russia has done. And the president referred to the Winter Olympics, and he talked about gymnastics and swimming. Gymnastics and swimming. And I think he might have also said one other thing. Unfortunately, I don't think there's gymnastics and swimming in the Winter Olympics. I could be wrong, but it's just not good. And nobody will hear about this because it's President Obama. We're coming back with Sam McDowell on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
I love you, son. So it hurts when you say I hate you. I'm your mother. I'm tired of you disrespecting me when you don't get your way. I work hard to make sure you have everything you need. I should be able to ask you to get out of bed in the morning without a fight. So from now on, things are going to be different. I ordered the Total Transformation Program. We're not going to scream and fight anymore. I'm going to tell you what to do in a different way, and you're going to do it. You're not going to call me ugly names anymore, and if you do, you're going to get consequences that'll keep you from calling me ugly names. We're not going to do things your way anymore, son. We're going to do things the Total Transformation way.
Get the Total Transformation free. Just order the program, tell us how it works for you, and you can keep it for free. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520. Call now. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he pitched in the major leagues for 15 years, 1960, 61, with the Indians is when he broke in. Six-time All-Star. A big, tall, strong, left-handed pitcher who did wind up playing for the New York Yankees, the team that I was following at the time as a kid growing up. We welcome in Sudden Sam McDowell. Hey, Sam, how are you?
Pretty good. And yourself, Steve?
I'm fine. Great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Heard you with my friend Denise McAtee on Steppin' Out Radio, and I decided to give you a call because I think you got a great story, and I think with what's going on with the A-Rod situation and the steroid situation, your voice should be heard. First of all, why don't you tell the folks what you're doing right now for athletes and players?
Well, I help manage the Employee Assistance Program for Major League Baseball. That's the BAT program, the charity that takes care of anybody in a baseball family that has fallen on hard times after they have left the game, whether it's financial, psychological, emotional, drug and alcohol abuse. It doesn't matter. Whatever the problem is, it's my job to find the solution and to help them out.
And how did you come to get that? I mean, you obviously had problems in your own life, which led you to this position down the road.
Yeah, in fact, I got thrown out of baseball, to be quite frank with you, because of my alcoholism. And then once that I did eventually go back to school to try and find out what the heck was the problem, what was the reason, because I was a pretty good religious young man from a Catholic family that I thought was doing everything right, and here I am, an alcoholic. So I went back to school for 6 years and became a therapist, thinking that I'd burn all my bridges. So I decided to simply help teenagers out and help them by preventing the same possibility with them that happened to me. And I got called back into baseball by Bowie Kuhn, who, when we had the big drug problems during the 80s, had asked me to put together some programs to help prevent the major drug problems. So I've been back in baseball now as a therapist for 33 years, and I've been with the baseball assistance team as their consultant and counselor for 27 years from the beginning.
So he turned to you again because he knew of what you had gone through and what you had overcome. When did your alcoholism start?
Well, basically, if you know anything about alcoholism, I was born that way. There's not much you can do about it because of chemical changes that take place in the brain that's there just about from inception. But I didn't notice anything other than having an obsessive-compulsive personality because in the minor leagues or in high school or what have you, I never drank. I was simply obsessed with the opposite side, being a health nut, making sure I was taking the right vitamins and minerals and what have you. And I actually didn't even get started drinking anything until my second or third year in the major leagues. But I sure made up for it in a short period of time.
And that, of course, had its adverse effects on your career, correct?
Oh, yeah. As I said, I basically got thrown out. When I was with the Pittsburgh Pirates the last year, they made me a deal. If I picked up a drink, I was gone. And I was leading the Pittsburgh Pirates pitching staff in every category there was. And I went out and got drunk one night, and Joe Brown found out about it and said, "Sam, see you later." And that basically was the end of my career.
Okay, let's fast forward to the great work you're doing today and as it pertains to the situation in baseball today. It's a whole different scenario. It's not, I mean, I don't know. You could tell me how prevalent alcohol abuse and drug abuse is. I would doubt that that's a major problem in baseball. Maybe you could correct me. But certainly what we're looking at here are performance-enhancing drugs. How do you deal with that, or do you deal with that? And even if you don't, what do you think of the I won't call it an epidemic, but the problem that exists in sports and specifically in baseball today?
Well, to be quite frank with you, I'm not sure there's that much that can actually be done with the steroid problem, because as soon as you find antibodies where you can test for them, there's already new steroids out on the market that you can't test for. One of the major problems is that, and think of it this way, if you could have a glass of orange juice that had something in it for the next 7 days that would turn your career around from being an average ball player hitting 5 to 10 home runs a year, where you all of a sudden are hitting 40 and 50 and 60 home runs a year, and your contract is going to be for $250 million for a 10-year contract, I'm not sure too many people wouldn't do that. I mean, in all my years in baseball, yes, I do know people that are totally honest and totally religious and what have you, and they would never even think about doing that, but they're very few and far between. So it's really a treacherous, enticing thing, knowing that the effects are going to be mostly positive right now, but 20 years from now, they're all going to be negative. And you already see and hear and read in the newspapers the suicides, the attempted suicides, the brain damage, and so forth that many individuals that play sports are involved with. Now, you also asked me about alcohol and drugs. Primarily, I would say that baseball has taken care of that situation mostly through education. I mean, when I played baseball, it was play hard, drink hard, and if you didn't do that, you didn't belong in the big leagues. But nowadays, getting drunk isn't funny anymore, like it was at one time, and you're not considered a very big man if you can't socially drink, go out and get drunk. That's a no-no. Same way with most of your drugs. You still have the major problem with marijuana, where society keeps fighting itself, not realizing that it's a gateway drug.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. All right, Sam, stay while. We just want to tell people we're talking to Sam McDowell, former Major League pitcher, former six-time All-Star here on the Steve Malzberg Show, now working with Major League Baseball to educate players on drugs and drug abuse. And let me ask you this. We only have a few minutes remaining. The problem well, two things. The problem of greenies. There was a point there where amphetamines used to be in the clubhouse. They used to look like M&Ms, and players would take them. And now they've been, eliminated from the clubhouse and from use. And one of the results is that you're seeing it harder for older players to perform as well because they're naturally more tired and they don't have this amphetamine shot to pick them up. Am I correct?
Yes, you're very correct there. In fact, it started out with red juice that people used to get from Mexico. And you get yourself a big gallon jug of that before you start spring training, and now you had enough where you can take, a teaspoon or two full before each game, and it would pump you up unbelievable. And whether it was this liquid meth, but yes, for greenies, they were sitting on every trainer's counter and every training room because of ignorance. We just didn't know the danger that was involved, and they came out like candy. And of course, being an obsessive-compulsive society in which we have to have more and more and more and more and better and better and better, then it escalated all the way from the greenies up to as far as taking hypodermic shots of pure amphetamines and so on. But that's kind of been taken care of now. When I say kind of, you're going to find an exception around once in a while. But they test enough in the minor leagues and the major leagues where if that ever does happen, they're going to catch somebody.
Right.
And it means that guy's got a major problem, and they've got to force him into getting help.
Okay, let me ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt. We only got a couple of minutes, so I just want to ask you about a minute and a half. The penalty, the steroid situation, like you said, it's going to be impossible to stop, but the penalties handed down to the 12 or so, including A-Rods, what's your take on those?
Well, I think that's about the only thing that you can do is to take the uniform away from an individual, because you can't have a sport, a clean sport like baseball. You can't have the haves and the have-nots, the guys that are taking steroids, playing games against guys that are totally honest, totally clean, trying to fight naturally without God bore them. You can't have, the difference. You've got to stop it somehow, some way. And for right now, that's the only way you can do it is take the uniform away. And I think 50 games is very good for a first time. I think that 150 or 2 is good for a second time. And if there's ever a third time, it's see you later.
3 strikes, you're out. Hey, Sam, it's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you very much for your insight, and I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Take care.
Take care. Sam McDowell, ladies and gentlemen, who's doing such great work with Major League Baseball. Very honest. There's hardly any way you could stop, because when you got a banned growth hormone or PED, they'll come up with another one that's not on the banned list, and it's a evolving cycle. And when the money's there, it's hard to stop it. All right, we're going to come back, and we're going to talk with Peter Brooks from the Heritage Foundation right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind, to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Were you surprised that Russia granted Snowden asylum?
I was disappointed because, even though we don't have an extradition treaty with them, traditionally we have tried to respect if there's a lawbreaker or an alleged lawbreaker in their country. We evaluate it and we try to work with them. They didn't do that with us, and in some ways it's reflective of some underlying challenges that we've had with Russia lately.
All right, folks, so welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. President Obama talking about the news, really the only place he's talked about the news lately, and that happened to be on Jay Leno last night. And joining us now to talk about what took place after that interview that we found out about this morning is Peter Brooks, Senior Fellow in National Security Affairs at the Heritage Foundation, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Okay, there's another bite we're going to address in just a second, but your reaction to the announcement today that the president has canceled his planned meeting in Moscow with Russia's President Vladimir Putin, kind of a diplomatic snub. Is it related directly, do you think, to the Snowden affair?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I wrote about this in the Boston Herald on Monday, and I said, the president has to do something about this. This was after Russia gave Snowden asylum, or at least temporary asylum, to stay in Russia. Their reset policy has gone from reset to regret. Russia relations are a mess. The whole idea behind it has just fallen through and collapsed. You remember Hillary Clinton with the reset button? Remember they mistranslated it and they had it as overcharge as opposed to reset?
Yep.
Well, I mean, it just, and they bent over backwards with the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. They ended missile defense in Europe, and they ended the missile defense system in Europe that Bush had started to develop in the Czech Republic and in Poland to protect us from Iran. They've just really been bent over backwards to be good to Russia, and this is what we get.
Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and he has to. So the president has to do something about it. But Putin is taking advantage of what he sees as American weakness, and that the president is weak. I mean, everything from Benghazi to Snowden, and it's put us in a very, very difficult position. And frankly, I don't know if Putin really cares if Obama cancels the summit.
Right. Okay. And of course, he is going to the main G20 summit
in St. Petersburg.
In St. Petersburg. Yeah. But let me ask you: are you surprised by this? Because we've talked about lack of action. You talked about how in the past how the president had to do something, and he did nothing to the Chinese when they harbored and let go Snowden. So why should Russia have any reason to fear? So are you surprised that this president actually did something that sends a message?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I should be surprised, but somebody gave him some spine on it. Obviously, he had to show some sort of spine because the Russians were walking all over us after the Chinese did. And I don't think the relationship is irrecoverable. I think the ties are going to be really frosty. The personal relationship between the two is going to be horrible. But there's a lot of things the United States and Russia still have to work on, and I think Obama recognizes this. So I think ultimately the relationship may rebound a little bit. For instance, I think, Steve, that a lot of our equipment is coming out from Afghanistan is coming out through Russia. There's still the issue of Syria. There's many things out there that the U.S. and Russia should try to cooperate on, but once again, Obama, through his demonstrating weakness, whether it's Benghazi, whether it's Syria, whether it's Snowden, I think that Putin is taking advantage of it, and I think he delights in the decline or the relative decline of the United States' influence on the world stage during the Obama administration.
We're talking to Peter Brooks, Senior Fellow, National Security Affairs at the Heritage Foundation, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me play you the next bite from the Jay Leno show, the interview with Obama, and something he said about Russia. Here it is.
A lot of what's been going on hasn't been major breaks in the relationship, and they still help us on supplying our troops in Afghanistan. They're still helping us on counterterrorism work. They were helpful after the Boston bombing in that investigation. And so there's still a lot of business that we can do with them, but there have been times where they slip back into Cold War thinking and a Cold War mentality. And what I consistently say to them and what I say to President Putin is that's the past. And we've got to think about the future, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to cooperate more effectively than we do.
All right. Now, and along those lines, the White House statement today for the reason of the cancellation was, given our lack of progress on issues such as missile defense, arms control, trade and commercial relations, global security issues, human rights, and civil society in the last 12 months, we've informed the Russian government we believe it would be more constructive to postpone the summit. So, but what gets me is this cold,
That's a smoke screen.
That is, well, okay, tell me. Go ahead.
It's a smoke screen. Look, it has everything to do with Snowden. There's no doubt that those other issues are defensible. I mean, anybody who looks at U.S. relations can see that. But that's not why they did this. It's because of Snowden. It was a personal affront to the president by Putin, and Obama's just not going to, allow it to slip by. And the reasons they listed, like I said, are defensible. They're plausible. But the real reason is Snowden, because they've made the United States look quite weak, and it's made President Obama look quite bad.
Now, when he says they slip back into Cold War mentality sometimes, and I tell President Putin there's no reason for that, it's not because they're afraid of us. It's not because they view us as a threat. If they're slipping back into Cold War mentality, and we've seen, the crackdowns on civil rights and freedoms and the anti-gay laws and all those kinds of things, the Pussy Riot woman in jail for what she sang on the stage, it's because of who Putin still is at his core, and who maybe the Russian government still is at its core. I mean, Obama can't, say to them, "Oh, guys, you don't have to do." What's that? I'm sorry.
Slipping back is not the right term.
No, not at all. It's who they are.
Right. Well, this is certainly who Putin is. I mean, Putin didn't like the way, as a former KGB officer, he doesn't like the way the Cold War ended. It didn't end the way he had expected it to end, with the Soviet Union on top, and he's been bitter ever since. And he, like I said, I think he delights in the decline, in the relative decline of the United States' influence on the world stage under Obama. I mean, I think this is absolutely the case. President Obama, people will say that President Obama is weakening the United States on purpose because he thinks that we're all equal. He doesn't like power. He doesn't want power. He wants to see us, in the liberal fashion, that we all can work together to solve all the international problems, and that's a great idea. But the fact of the matter is that when you come down to it, it really doesn't work, because countries pursue their own national interests.
Okay, one final question for you, Peter.
Yeah.
Will this change the dynamics of the Snowden affair? Will Russia do something differently that they weren't going to do 2 days ago? I mean, will they let them stay the same amount of time? Will they, or will they change what they were planning on doing based on this cancellation of the meeting?
I think that I don't necessarily believe they'll turn him over to us, but I think they'll let him leave Russia, and I think he'll leave sooner than he expects. Because I don't think that Putin completely wants to collapse the U.S.-Russia relationship. There are important issues. He does need some cachet here in Washington on issues that he really cares about as well. I mean, if Obama really wanted to go after him, he could, go back to missile defense. He could do all sorts of things that would unnerve the Russians. So Putin's got to be careful here, and he's probably looking for an exit ramp.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, Peter, always appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Peter Brooks, ladies and gentlemen. You read him in various publications. Here in New York, we read him in the New York Post and elsewhere around the country. Senior Fellow National Security Affairs at the Great Heritage Foundation and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense in the George W. Bush administration. Okay, folks, much more of this ahead. If you want to weigh in on any of this, please feel free. 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. Are you surprised that the president had the spine, or someone gave him the spine, as Peter Brooks said, to actually cancel this meeting? And is it enough, or is it no big deal? On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, Everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurityFree.com. At SocialSecurityFree.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurityFree.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says SocialSecurityFree.com is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurityFree.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurityFree.com.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The White House has scrapped a planned summit next month with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. The Obama administration has repeatedly expressed disappointment after Putin granted asylum to NSA leaker Edward Snowden. Russia rebuffed U.S. pleas to hand him over to face espionage charges. The White House also noted a lack of cooperation with Russia over issues including Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea, and weapons proliferation as contributing factors to the cancellation. And last night on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, the president talked for the first time about the al-Qaeda terror plot. 19 American embassies and consulates remain closed because of that threat. The president started off with a lighthearted happy birthday wish from Leno, but the interview turned much more serious when questions about the terror plot came up. The president also talked about a recent lunch he had with former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. But when the president was asked specifically about the al-Qaeda terror plot, he sidestepped questions about whether phone and internet surveillance uncovered the specified al-Qaeda terror plot.
Whenever we see a threat stream that we think is specific enough that we can take some specific precautions within a certain time frame, then we do so. Violent extremism is still out there, and we've got to stay on top of it.
The Leno interview followed a speech the president made earlier in the day on the topic of mortgage finance reform in Phoenix, Arizona. The president says he wants to phase out government-backed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and transfer more of the mortgage risk to the private sector. An Air Force C-17 flew into the Yemen capital of Sana'a Tuesday to evacuate dozens of U.S. workers from the American embassy. Staffers, including some described as emergency personnel, were ordered to the airport and put on the flight to an Air Force base in Germany. British and French authorities also temporarily moved out diplomats, drawing a strong rebuke from the Yemen Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
This was a decision related to a specific immediate threat.
Also in Yemen, there are new reports that a U.S. drone strike took out 4 al-Qaeda operatives just outside of the capital. It was the 4th drone strike inside Yemen in less than 2 weeks in response to al-Qaeda's suspected terror plot. And nearly a year later, the Justice Department has filed its first criminal charges in the deadly attack on the U.S. diplomatic mission in Benghazi, Libya. 4 Americans, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, were killed in that assault. The Justice Department is keeping the charges against Abu Khatallah under seal, and they are not saying if any more suspects will be charged. And coming up on your Newsmax Now update, an update on the condition of former President George W. Bush after a mild heart health scare in Texas. Plus a Newsmax exclusive with John Bolton, UN ambassador under President Bush, what he says is ironic about the White House's terror plot announcement this week.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
And welcome back. Former President George W. Bush is now out of the hospital. Mr. Bush underwent a heart procedure Tuesday to have a stent placed in a blocked artery in a Dallas hospital. The 67-year-old is considered to be in great physical condition. Just about 2 months ago, he biked more than 60 miles with military veterans, and we wish him all the best. And during a Newsmax exclusive with former UN Ambassador John Bolton, we dig into the issue of al-Qaeda and White House claims, past and present, that the terror organization is on the ropes. Bolton charged that the White House is clearly wrong here in its own assessment based on the information leaked about the massive terror plot potentially targeting U.S. embassies this week.
It's ironically a refutation of the Obama administration's whole storyline on al-Qaeda being on the road to defeat.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 7th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hour number 3 of the big Steve Malzberg Show. We have a great hour coming up for you in just a little while. Craig Smith, CEO of Swiss America Trading Corporation, will join us. Talk all about Obama, Obamacare, the economy, business, the latest unemployment numbers that were out last Friday, which are disastrous when you take a close look at them. We'll also be talking to the author of a very interesting book, Happy Utopia Day, Joe McCarthy. It's kind of a novel based on the author's vision of possible reality, is one way of putting it. We'll talk to him about that. Hopefully take some of your calls at 855-777-9660. But first, I want you to hear, and if you're watching at Newsmax.com, I want you to see something that took place last night. And this was at I believe it was an AARP forum for all the mayoral candidates of New York City. And this is, I'm sorry, did you ask me a question? Okay, no, I'm sorry. 20, did I, let's see, I think I had said it was 27. And Anthony Weiner did not expose himself. Anthony Weiner did not tweet a picture of his private parts. Anthony Weiner did not have phone sex in the men's room as far as we know. Nothing like that. But Anthony Weiner had a confrontation, started a confrontation, apparently. It was caught on New York One, the New York cable TV station for news. And it involved our friend George McDonald, who is running as a Republican for the Republican nomination to be mayor of New York City. And Weiner walks up to him. I'm going to let you hear it and see it if you're watching, and then I'll tell you exactly what was said. So roll it.
Here we go. I heard what you said. Put your hand on me. Really? What's going to happen if I do? You're a tough guy now. How are you, man? Yeah, we do better. You can? Appreciate it. Okay. Put your anger issues. I don't have any anger. What you do, Grandpa? Ooh, okay. Ooh, there you go.
Okay. That arrogant, pompous ass known as Anthony Weiner called George McDonald Grandpa after he put his hands on him. Joining us now to give his version of the story is New York City mayoral candidate on the Republican side, George McDonald. Hey, George, good to talk to you.
Hey, Steve, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, this time you're not in person; you're on the phone. But let me ask you, describe exactly what happened. What we heard there was kind of hard to hear. But he walks up to you and he puts his hand on your chest.
This is a forum of I, Steve, am not seeking Anthony Weiner out. This is a forum of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, everybody who's running for mayor of the city of New York. And you're correct, it was at the AARP. And, Steve, I'm a gentleman. I shake people's hands. Politics is an intimate sport. You grab a guy's elbow or pat him on the shoulder, that kind of thing. And I'm used to that. That's just fine. But all of a sudden, I feel from behind me somebody slapping me twice hard in my chest and going, "Oh, McDonald." And it was Weiner. And so I went up to him and I said, "Please, don't ever put your hands on me again." And then he said something about me having anger issues, which is ironic with the guy who yells and screams on the House floor before he resigned. But I said, "No, I don't." And I said, "Just don't put your hands on me again." And I thought that was a reasonable request. And then he said, "What are you going to do about it, Grandpa?" In the old days, Steve, we'd call somebody like that a punk.
Well, he is a punk, and I know that the folks at AARP, their state director Beth Finkel, says that she found some of the comments at the forum unfortunate. Certainly, she should have referred directly to what he said. I mean, first of all, it was disrespectful. It was punkish. It was typical Weiner-ish.
But Steve, he's got no respect for. If he has no respect for seniors, he has no respect for women. He has no respect for anybody else's opinion.
How about his wife?
He goes, "Well, that's between him and his wife. I don't know anything about that." But I got into this to run for mayor of the city of New York, and the problem here is when I talk about the character and judgment, I think that those things in a candidate are as important as ideas. And this fellow has no record. He didn't pass a bill in Congress. That's probably good, but has no executive experience. Only knows how to play to the crowd about using your money to satisfy them. They should have an increase in this, that, the other thing. He's never met a payroll. He doesn't have anybody that works for him for longer than 3 weeks. And, he's the most unqualified candidate to be mayor, I think, in the history of running for mayor.
Well, let me ask you, George. I want to ask you, first of all, there's nothing stupider than saying, I mean, even if it wasn't Anthony Weiner, if it was Joe Blow and he didn't put his hands on you, calling you or anybody grandpa at an AARP-sponsored forum.
Well, he didn't think anybody heard it.
Right, I know that. But
it's before the actual forum itself started.
Right, yeah, but that's as dumb as could be. But were you...
But in this day and age, you have to approach everything as if everybody hears every word.
Well, he should know that as well as anyone. He's usually taking the pictures, right? But were you surprised? I mean, were you surprised? Were you taken aback?
Yes, I was surprised by it. Quite frankly, I was surprised that he actually touched me. And he did it in a way that was hostile.
Why? Why do you think he picked on you to touch you? Why?
He's a strange fellow. I mean, he's part of this now celebrity culture that we have. Instead of being a politician or a public servant, he's in self-service. And this is about increasing his brand. So, for example, he doesn't care that you and I are now talking about him. That's what he wants.
Right. And it
He
doesn't matter what
what he does.
Right.
It doesn't matter what anybody says because he is above the election now. This is about, the 4,000 news articles that he has in a day.
Yeah.
It's about his celebrity and how he's going to cash in on that later on at our expense. I got in this to talk about the issues that are confronting the city of New York and our future. And this guy just eats up all of the oxygen in the room. There's no news hole for anything other than what Anthony Weiner says. And I called him on it.
Yeah, well, listen, George, it's great to talk to you, and I thank you for your time, and thanks for standing up to Weiner.
Well, and I'm looking forward to being back in the studio and sitting across from you, Steve.
We'll do that.
We'll
do that.
Some of these issues that are very important.
I hear you. We will do that, George. Thank you very much,
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. George McDonald, always great to talk to you. All right, folks. By the way, the backup lawyers to Major Nidal Hassan, the jihadist, have now asked to resign from the case. He's representing himself, but his backup attorneys now want off the case. They say that he's working with the prosecution, that he wants the death penalty. He's trying for the death penalty. The case has been the court was dismissed early today after this revelation, and will resume apparently tomorrow. So this is a circus. It never should have gotten to this point, and it's a disgrace. The whole thing is a disgrace. We'll have more on that tomorrow, obviously, on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, Craig Smith, chairman of Swiss America, will be here to talk about our fine president and his fine policies on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it, or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
First, private capital should take a bigger role in the mortgage market. I know that sounds confusing to folks who call me a socialist. I think I saw some posters there on the way in. But I actually believe in the free market, and just like the health care law that we put in place, Obamacare, which by the way, if you don't have health insurance, or you're buying it at exorbitant rates on the individual market, starting on October 1st, you can join a marketplace and be part of a pool that gives you much lower premiums, saves you a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. He is, he just waves that magic wand, and the man who believes in free market better than anyone else in the history of that office, he just lowers your health care and makes everything right. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. That was the president in Phoenix before he did the Leno show last night. And joining us right now to talk about a host of things, I'm glad to welcome to the show Craig Smith, CEO of Swiss America Trading Company. Hey, Craig, how are you?
I'm great, Steve. Thanks for inviting me. And, boy, I got quite a chuckle out of that piece you just ran.
I thought you would. I saw you the other day, and I was trying to remember. Was it with Cavuto? Was it on CNN? I don't remember where I saw you. But I said he's going to love this. By the way, I'm not a socialist. I love the free market. As long as I control it all, I love it.
Yeah, well, it was with Neil Cavuto, and we joke about it all the time that, he wants to talk about being a free market person, yet he wants a single-payer health system, and I think that's pretty clear at this point. And what Mr. Obama doesn't understand about the free market, Steve, and I'm sure you know this, and that is that in order for Obamacare to work, he has to have a lot of young people pay into the system who are healthy and not using services to take care of all the people that are not paying in that do need the use of services. And the problem with that is we're losing 10,000 people a day to retirement and replacing those 10,000 people a day with part-time workers. 77% in the last jobs report of all the jobs created were part-time jobs. They're low-paying jobs. Most of these kids can't afford to pay into this health care exchange where your rates are going to go down, which, by the way, they've gone up dramatically since he's announced that 3 years ago. So he just doesn't understand the basic math of economics or free markets, Steve, and we've seen it. And as I said on Cavuto's show, he will go down in history. And I know this got to make Jimmy Carter the happiest guy in the world, as the worst president economically. He may be a nice man. He's a wonderful family guy. Look, he's got a lovely wife and children. I mean, you can't fault him for that. But his financial policies have been a disaster, Steve.
I know that. But do you think, I mean, again, I think we could all agree that he's not a stupid man. And I think we could all agree that he doesn't love the free market. And I think we could all agree that that he puts policies in place, policies that have failed, policies that have taken this country in a very definitive direction, as you alluded to, that the part-time employment is becoming the new normal for so many millions of Americans. More and more young adults are moving back home and living with their families. I mean, the statistics go on and on, whether you want to talk about welfare or food stamps or assistance. I mean, it's a disaster. He has to know that his policies are moving the country in this direction, and it's not going to change.
Well, I think he knows that, but I think his ideology makes him believe that at a certain point things will kick in and utopia will return and everybody can have free everything. I think what he leaves out of the equation, Steve, is a historical perspective that Keynesian economics and socialism, and that's really what it is, have never worked in the history of the world. Look, Keynesian economics have failed and failed grossly. When we decided to become a welfare nation in 1971, when Richard Nixon closed the gold window, because Alan Greenspan had warned everybody in 1964, you can't have a welfare state with a gold standard.
Right.
We exponentially created a welfare state that, as you know, we're now 47% of all Americans get something from the federal government. And look, we're watching history. In 1934, when President Roosevelt rolled out Social Security, which was deemed to fail, the math doesn't work. You know, everybody saw history. Well, in 2014, we're seeing history again with the largest entitlement program this country has ever seen. And I really do believe, Steve, that this is the entitlement program that will be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay, having said, and you're talking about Obamacare, having said that, do you believe the Republicans, to get political here with them, do you believe that the Republicans should risk, again, they're almost conceding a loss here. They're almost conceding that if the government gets shut down, if they defund a part of Obamacare and the government gets shut down, they're conceding that they will have done it. They will not have done it. It takes two to tango to close the government down, or some cases, in this case, three. So do you believe they should risk it and defund, say, the IRS agents or a particular part and let the chips fall where they may?
Yes.
I agree.
And let me tell you why, because this is our last shot. Look, I wrote a paper years ago, a white paper called Social Insecurity, and we showed how mathematically it just doesn't work unless your demographics are continuing to increase. Social Security has been, how many times have we raided the lock boxes, and how many times do we have to show people that it doesn't work? Look at all the pensions around the big cities. It's collapsing. Detroit, Stockton. These numbers don't work, Steve, and this is the last chance that the Republican Party, which should be the opposition party against a law that is horrible for America. Look, it sounds great from the surface. I want to see everybody get health care. I don't want to see anybody be sick. But the math doesn't work, Steve. And this is our last shot. And so I would rather go down in flames, if you will, and know that we did the right thing, because I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time before Obamacare has to be changed, just like we've changed Social Security 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the changes are going to hurt the economy. I heard a commercial about this survival guide. You're going to need a survival guide to get through Obamacare. I can assure you of that.
The people don't even have a clue. And day after day, there's more and more talked about how now when people go to sign up, the IT section won't be secure, and they risk getting hacked and having their information and identity theft. So it is such a mess. But the Republicans don't have the guts. They will not do it. The leadership will not let it happen, and it'll be a mistake of a generation and for generations to come. Listen, I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you'll come back, sir.
Love to. Nice being with you.
All right, thank you very much. That's Craig Smith, ladies and gentlemen, CEO of Swiss America, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You know, Obama, and I had this story last week or the other day, and I don't have it in front of me. He took to task the Kardashians, the one that just had the baby. Who's the husband of Kim Kardashian, or the boyfriend who had the baby? Kanye West and Kardashian, saying that now because of them, the American dream, he said it used to be the American dream was just a secure job and a good education and a safety net. No! The American dream is what the Kardashians have. Big money, big bucks, big homes. But he doesn't like that. Obama wants that, but he doesn't want you to dream about having it because that's greedy and that's bad. Unless, of course, he has it and his Hollywood elitist friends have it. Then it's okay. Corrupting the American dream. Steve Malzberg Show. We're coming back. Utopia.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, political satire, espionage, parody, you name it, it's in this this brand new book, which I was intrigued enough by to invite the author to join us. to talk about it because I sensed there might be a little opportunity to get a little bit political. And we welcome in J.T. Lundy, who is obviously an author, and he writes novels and screenplays. And congratulations on the new book, which I don't know if I mentioned the title in my selling of it. It's Happy Utopia Day, Joe McCarthy. Welcome, JT.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Okay, so explain to the folks where you get Happy Utopia Day, Joe McCarthy from.
Well, Happy Utopia Day, Joe McCarthy. The premise of the book, kind of like you said, it's a lighthearted action-adventure thriller and a satire, but it has a lot of serious themes. And the premise of the book is Senator Joe McCarthy, the famous senator of McCarthyism from the 1950s. And this is fiction, by the way. The fiction story is that he started a secret program that operates in an underground nuclear bunker. And this program is still operating today by loyal McCarthy followers. And they use this program to help them infiltrate and take over the government today. And they use the office of the presidency to issue executive orders to install their totalitarian regime. So that's the premise. And then we have, of course, a hero, kind of a fish out of water story, a lowly customs executive who works for the government that is called by the president to save the day. He has James Bond fantasies, and he comes in and tries to save the day.
Okay, so that makes for exciting reading and you know, good political satire, like you said, and fiction with a little, you know, possibility of a little bit of truism involved. But I was interested, I was intrigued by the Happy Utopia Day would have intrigued me, and then adding the Joe McCarthy really intrigued me. So talk to me a little bit about. I mean, you picked Joe McCarthy for a reason, and it fits in with your book. But if you could have picked somebody else, somebody fast forwarding to, you know, the last few years, modern day figure, who might you have inserted in there in another situation? But for the, you know, in other words, if the book was more up to date, kind of, who would you have picked instead of Joe McCarthy?
Well, you know, I guess if you know, Joe McCarthy was going to come back today, it's going to be somebody, and maybe not an individual. Maybe it's an organization, and I think this individual and organization is going to be someone extremely adept with the internet or computers in general. And you know, they're talking about the Internet of Things, where internet computers and things can actually talk with each other. So, you know, maybe a fringe organization like WikiLeaks or even Anonymous, that you know, they will maybe appeal to some fear that we have, unknown fear that we have in the future, and use that fear to kind of take over. Maybe not take over, but you know, to increase their power, and a power that could be scary in some unforeseen way.
What about a collapse? You talk about how, you know, you believe, or the one of the greatest threat of abuses of power is the use of executive orders. How do you feel about Obama, you know, constantly saying and then doing in many instances? His saying, as a matter of fact, his theme during one of the themes during his re-election was "We can't wait," meaning if Congress won't act, I'll do what I can, executive order-wise, to get it done. Selective enforcement of various laws that have been passed, you know, executive order after executive order. Many say circumventing the Constitution on recess appointments, as 3 courts have found, and others. I mean, are you concerned by Barack Obama, kind of, and in addition, what we found out about, you know, the enhanced NSA capabilities, and notwithstanding what he told Jay Leno yesterday, that we're not spying on Americans? I mean, does any of this concern you?
Right. And he said we're not spying on Americans, but then he also said we should be very suspicious of our government. So I'm right along with that. It does concern me. You know, Roosevelt dramatically increased the executive powers of the government, and every president since then has used them, Republican and Democrat. So it's you know, and not only, you know, the executive orders, I think, bypass the Congress, they bypass the people. There's no catch to them. Like, you know, if we've all learned that Congress passes the law, and the president can either sign the law or he can veto it. Well, when the president makes an executive order or a national security directive, there's no check there. I mean, it instantly becomes law. okay, maybe the Supreme Court secretly views it, or a secret court kind of views it. Well, that kind of scares me. And it's kind of the same thing, McCarthy was using, and that's my fear, is if the government with these NSA things is recording everything we do. They're recording all our website visits, recording our private emails. We've entered a 1984 George Orwell society, and maybe we think what we are doing is innocent today. Well, who knows in 30 years? They might not be so innocent. People, someone in power, someone in government go, look what you did back in 2013 on the internet. We think you should be prosecuted for this.
Right. No, and by the way, we're talking to author J.T. Lundy, his new book, Happy Utopia Day, Joe McCarthy, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And we just had a guest on in the previous hour to talk about, 2 hours ago, to talk about smart TVs. And by the way, your webcam on your computer, but whether it's laptop or desktop, that they conceivably could be looking at what you're doing while you're watching, while you're sitting in your living room, bedroom, basement, wherever it is, and recording it, and that it could be the government or hackers or both.
Exactly. It's the George Orwell telescreen has come to life. I graduated high school in 1984. So I've always kind of had this fear, and as 1984 we approached, it was kind of like, oh, it's George Orwell, his big brother here, and no, he really wasn't. But now it seems like he is. So.
Well, yeah, no, it certainly does seem like he is, and I don't know how to turn it back. I mean, do you know how to? I mean, is there any way to turn it back?
Well, I don't know if we can turn it back, but we can certainly fight it, and we can certainly try to stay on top of it. I think. The senator from Illinois made a great comment the other day. When we go in front of their secret executive orders that we don't know what they are, and they go in front of a secret court, so the government pleads their case to the court and says, well, we think this is okay. But who's representing the people? I mean, there needs to be a representative of Congress or somebody representing the people. If we as a people decide and we vote on it and say, hey, we want a society or we want a government that watches everything we do, then I guess there's nothing we can do. But we should at least have a say in what goes on.
Doesn't it, in fact, make, if you're critical of what Joe McCarthy did and critical of his motives and critical of information that he tried to get out of people and whatnot, doesn't it make Joe McCarthy look like nothing? Doesn't it make that whole era, that whole episode in history, again, if you're critical of it, doesn't it just diminish the significance of it compared to now? I mean, at least then, he named names. You knew you were under investigation. You were called before the Congress. You were able to at least say something. Now, like you said, we don't know what the heck they're finding out about us and what they're going to do with it.
Right. The powers, Joe McCarthy did use, he encouraged actually leaking of government information. And he went to the people and said, if you have secret documents and you work for the federal government, please, and they expose communism or subversive activities, even though it's illegal, even though the president has issued an order not to release these documents, please send them to me. So as far as Snowden was concerned, he would agree with that. Please leak the information and let us know. But
Snowden, went to a foreign government, a foreign country, and told the world. He didn't go to Congress.
Exactly. But at the same time, the powers that the government has and the secret surveillance, that the government has is beyond anything I ever imagined that would happen.
Yeah. All right. Listen, a very interesting book, interesting topic, and I'm sure you'll have a follow-up of sorts, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
My pleasure. That's author J.T. Lundy, ladies and gentlemen. The book, Happy Utopia Day, Joe McCarthy. Pleasant conversation, very pleasant conversation, and I thought maybe we might have gotten into it a little more politically, but we agree on some things, disagree on others. And it's very interesting, but it does make you wonder. Look how fast. I mean, look how fast. I remember when I got my car phone. Remember those car phone? You ever have a car phone? It was about foot long. You know, and it was, you couldn't, when you get out of the car, if you wanted to take it out, you couldn't really put it anywhere. You had to put it in a case or something and carry it around separately or stick it in a briefcase. I mean, it was so big and bulky. And then came the first cell phones. You know, I remember back in the 70s or whatever when the internet first, you know, rumblings of an internet and email and this and kind of, look where we are. Look where we are, that you could be sitting and watching television in your home and somebody could be watching you and you have no idea. Watching you through the TV. And this is not good. This is very frightening. And, you know, I got to believe that if there was a Republican in office right now, there was a Republican administration right now, there would be outrage every second of every day. Every revelation, every possibility of invasion of privacy would be scrutinized and re-scrutinized and scrutinized again and presented to the American public as a danger, a huge danger. An invasion. In fact, 1984. I mean, right on down the line. But now it seems we're oversaturated. It's hitting us 1, 2, 3. It's like the way Obama did things and does things. You don't know what to talk about first. You don't know what to go after first. You don't know what to criticize first. Investigate first because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you talk about it, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like, oh, give it a rest. Nobody wants to hear it already. Well, that's where we are with Obama domestically. Internationally, foreign policy-wise, economically, which covers domestically, obviously, but also it's where we are with invasion of privacy and possible invasion of privacy and the information being collected. Now, I'm all for getting terrorists. But my problem is, and I've said this from the day one, the revelation of NSA from day one, when this so-called scandal came out, you want to follow me? You want to listen in on my phone calls? You want to track every number that I've ever called or whatever? Okay, but here's what you got to do then. If you find a terrorist and you think that terrorist knows where the next attack is going to be, and then you're going to tell me, we can't stick his head underwater, that's not what Americans do, then don't take my phone numbers. If you want to treat a terrorist like a terrorist when you find one, and you could possibly save an American life by doing so, by sticking his head underwater or blowing smoke in his face or depriving him of sleep, then I could understand. Then at least you're consistent. But don't tell me you can't do that to the guy who might know where the next school is going to be blown up because we're Americans and we can't lower ourselves to be like them by sticking his head underwater. That's torture. But you're willing to take all my private information and say national security? That doesn't work. Be consistent. You're going to let the terrorists off easy? Then give me back my phone numbers. You know what I'm talking about? Boy, but I'd love to know if anybody out there feels the same way or doesn't. 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. Right here, one final segment left on the Wednesday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop.
Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Some interesting sound that you might want to hear. Talking about the Fort Hood trial and what's going on today, the latest revelations that the backup defense attorneys to the accused shooter won out because they say he's working with the prosecution to get himself the death penalty. He apparently said that's not true. The proceedings were adjourned for the day and will resume tomorrow. But back in 2009, the media, they bent over backwards to attempt to, they knew what was going on, but they cringed. They cringed at the thought that they had to tell the world that the shooter was a Muslim. Newsweek's Evan Thomas. I want you to listen to Newsweek's Evan Thomas at the time, back in 2009, and this is cut 16.
I cringe that he's a Muslim. I mean, because it just inflames all the fears. I think he's probably just a nutcase, but with that label attached to him, it'll get the right wing going, and it just, I mean, these things are tragic, but that makes it much worse.
Yeah, he's just a nutcase. Just happens to be a Muslim, and he cringes that he's a Muslim because it'll get the right wing going, you know. And he wasn't alone. Evan Thomas wasn't alone. Media Research Center and Newsbusters at the time gathered these beauties. Martha Raddatz, ABC News on World News, November 5th, 2009. As for the suspect, Nidal Hassan, as one officer's wife told me, I wish his name was Smith. Co-host Meredith Vieira to retired General Barry McCaffrey on NBC's Today Show. There are also reports, General, that Hassan had told family members that he had been harassed by members of the military because of his Muslim faith. Is that common? He's not saying that anymore, by the way. Let's see. Correspondent Bill Weir on ABC's World News Tonight, November 6th of 2009. The Pentagon has made a real concerted effort to create a military that's culturally sensitive and religiously tolerant. But Muslims in uniform today face a challenge not seen since Japanese Americans fought in World War II. They taste suspicion from some fellow soldiers who question their loyalty and resentment from fellow Muslims opposed to both American wars. So, I don't even understand. So we should feel sorry at that point for Hassan because he's a Muslim serving in a bigoted, Islamophobic American military. I'm telling you, these people are sick. Evan Thomas, we just told you. NPR's Nina Totenberg. It's really tragic that he was a Muslim. I'm not making these up. This is sickness. More. Bob Schieffer. Oh, yeah, to Senator Lindsey Graham on Face the Nation, November 8th. 2009. It's looking more and more like he was just some sort of religious nut. And, you know, Islam doesn't have a majority. The Christian religion has its full helping of nuts, too. Really? The Christian religion has its full helping of nuts. But let's talk about what kind of nuts Bob Schieffer was talking about to Lindsey Graham. He was equating so-called Islamic Muslim nuts with Christian nuts. Where were the Christians committing terrorist attacks? Don't tell me Timothy McVeigh. See, that's the only answer. When I ask that question, I've asked that question for years and years and years and years. It's the only answer I ever get. Well, Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh, I don't even know if he was a Christian. He didn't kill in the name of Jesus Christ. He didn't kill because he was a Christian. Okay? He didn't shout, Jesus Christ, when the building blew up. I think he was agnostic, actually. So forget that. But Bob Schieffer had to make it clear that there are plenty of Christian nuts out there too. Really? Which Christian nut has gone into a military base of which he's a part of and shot his fellow soldiers shouting Jesus Christ? Which Christian nut has blown up a building, blown up a school bus, blown up a parking lot, a pizzeria, a building, hijacked a plane, saying they're doing it for Jesus? Where are they? They don't exist. But don't tell that to the media. Anchor John Roberts. The massacre at Fort Hood has many people fearing a backlash against American Muslim soldiers. Our Carol Costello live in Washington this morning with an AM original. And Army leaders, even the president, are worried about a potential backlash. Here, Carol. And then Carol says, they are, John. The Army's chief of staff is worried about backlash against Muslim soldiers. Folks, was there a backlash against Muslim soldiers since 2009? Was there? Were there Muslim soldiers killed, injured, attacked? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, could I say no, none of them were? No, but there was a backlash? No, there wasn't, because we're Americans, and American soldiers are the best of the best. They're not going to backlash against Muslims who are brave Americans. And they didn't. So the media was terrified, horrified, wishing out loud that this man wasn't a Muslim, that it was John Smith, or better yet, how about a Tea Party right-winger who shot up his fellow soldiers? Now, wouldn't that have been great for the media? They would have loved that. Sick. We don't have a media anymore. We don't have a media. And this is the kind of garbage that permeates what is passed for, or passes as, the American media in the year 2009 back then and 2013 today. But not here. Oh, not here on the Steve Malzberg Show.